Want to hear about a BRRRR deal that was done as a side hustle but put $55,000 on the books with fewer than 5 weeks worth of work, all while being a secondary source of income? This video is for you. From purchase to profits, all the way through the entire process. Let's get started at the beginning. So how do you find deals that have meat on the bones? One of the biggest things that I think is advantageous is when you're doing real estate investing as a side hustle, you have time to wait for the right deal to come along and you're not forced into making deals work that aren't necessarily the best deal. So this was one of those opportunities. I wasn't actively looking for a house. However, I had a realtor call and offer up a hip pocket listing. This realtor saw that this house was going to come on the market, but didn't want to list it. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. The house had a history to it that they weren't super excited about. And so rather than get this on the market, the realtor reached out to some cash investors to see if he could get this house sold for a seller before even putting it on the market. The house had significant problems, needed a total re-roof, the plumbing from the street wasn't good, and HVAC systems needed a little bit of attention. So basically every major system in the house needed help. So when every major system in the house needs help, not something that your average buyer is going to be able to get financed, definitely not move-in ready. It's going to be a difficult house to get rid of on the MLS. So the realtor looked for cash buyers who understood what they were getting into, myself being one of them, reached out looking for offers. I was able to give a cash offer on the house. We were able to close for cash within a few days after being contacted on the house. Obviously, you have to make an as-is cash offer, no contingencies. The seller's not looking for somebody who's going to take their time or back out, and you're already giving them an extremely low offer. The seller also had numerous other rental properties that they were selling, but most of these either had tenants in them or required significantly less work than this house did. So when I purchased this house, I saw it was a great deal. However, at the time, I didn't have any time to work on the house. So I bought this deal probably a year ago, and it's just kind of sat there. I haven't really done anything with it because I didn't have time to invest in the remodel, but I realized it was going to be a great deal at the time. Fast forward, and this spring, my primary job is an airline pilot, and with COVID-19, there's not a whole lot of flying going on. So with the lack of flying that's been happening, I was able to take 3 weeks and invest in getting this house rent ready. So what I did was, even before my 3 weeks came up, I prepped by making sure that I had labor lined up. So you can check out my video on how to use handymen appropriately down below, card above, down, link, something like that. Check out that video on how to save money using handymen. And I was able to get all that help lined up. So we were able to knock out some major work in a very short period of time. One of the things we did was we did a complete re-roof. So we saved a ton of money on this re-roof. Stick around, I'll go through all the numbers at the end of this video. The re-roof we were able to knock out in just 3 days. And this wasn't just pull shingles. We had to pull 3 layers of shingles off the roof. We had to pull a layer of shake off the roof. After we did the 4-layer tear off, which in and of itself filled up an entire dumpster of roofing materials. Then we had to redeck the majority of the roof before putting the new roof on. So quotes for this job had been close to $7,000. However, by the time all was said and done, we were able to re-roof the entire roof for less than $2,000 and 3 days worth of time. Obviously some sweat equity went into that, on my own part, and also the work ahead of time lining up the labor. But that time and the sweat equity, paid off in the roofing job by saving $5,000 on that roofing job. Next thing we did was we got all the flooring knocked out in the entire house in one day. Did this by lining up, again, labor, like you can see in the handyman video, and also by making sure that all the materials were staged ahead of time, and we were able to floor the whole house in one day for a huge cost savings. I never got quotes on this, but we definitely saved a few $1,000s on flooring by knocking it out ourselves quickly. The next thing it needed was a total replumb. So I'm not even just talking about the house. So the house, we pulled all the old piping out and totally replumbed with PEX, but then there were leaks in the supply line that we did not know about ahead of time. So as we found out about those leaks, then we tried patching leaks, but then more leaks kept springing up over and over again. So we ended up just digging out all of the plumbing. So we dug it out from the house all the way out to the street, to the water meter, and we put all new supply plumbing in all the way through. Once all that was said and done, then we found out that there was a leak on the water meter. The city's water meter was broke. So then the city had to come out, put a new water meter in, and retest everything. That took up some time, but we got it done. I didn't even add up the plumbing quotes, but definitely saved a ton of money. We rented our own tractor, rented our own excavator, and by renting the mini excavator and driving that ourselves, we were able to save a ton of money for similar jobs with excavation and redoing sewer lines have cost me between $4,000 and $5,000. This cost us a day of time and a $250 excavator rental. So $250 to rent the excavator and a day of time, save $5,000 right there. PEX is super cheap, so that who knows what that PEX costs? Almost nothing. So saved a ton of money on running that new sewer line. Repainted the house. Now we're getting to the little stuff, right? So we repainted the house. We pulled all the old trim off, painted it, put the same trim back on because it was kind of decent. And then the kitchen. Initially, the kitchen, the cabinetry was kind of peeled off the walls. It was real dirty, but and putting new cabinetry in we would have had to pay for all the new cabinetry. 2, it would have taken a lot of time, and 3, we're trying to do this as a rent to own. So usually when you're talking about like kitchens and bathrooms, stuff like that, people are going to want to fix it up the exact way that they want it to be done at the end. So leaving it as kind of a rough canvas is almost better. You're not only saving the money, but also allowing the people to do the jobs they want to do. They don't want to go in and re-roof, re-plumb, do all those kind of things. Because they're probably going to need a loan for the house. And so all those things that the bank needs to be done correctly for them to get a loan, we went ahead and did. But the bank doesn't care if the interior looks a little rough. As long as all the major systems are sound, they're still going to be able to get a home loan on that property. So instead of putting new cabinetry in and finishing out the kitchen, we did repaint the existing cabinetry, cleaned it up with some new handles, scrubbed it all down, repainted, and then shimmed up the cabinetry so it was solid because it was loose and wobbly. You could see gaps in the back. So we shimmed it up, got it all set in so it was set in solid. So that way everything's nice, it's sound, it's stable. And since we replumbed everything, we don't want the cabinetry loose with the plumbing connected. So it's all secure and looks way better than it did before. Just not necessarily the end state that the user wants. So by doing all that kitchen work, we're able to clean it up so people can kind of visualize what it would look like, if they put in everything the way they want it. And it's also livable, clean, secure, safe, but didn't cost us a whole lot of money. It just cost us a couple days' time to get it that way. Now, what you really want to know how much did we spend and how much did we make? All right, so that's the big thing. So break it down. I was able to purchase this house for $5,000. It's incredibly cheap. But you got to realize when you're making cash offers, cash deals, and you're closing on things that, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes that's what it's worth to me. So we were able to buy it cheap. And then I was able to put the majority of the remodel materials as well as the labor pay on cash. And so altogether on all of that, we were in around $15,000. So all into this house, we're in the mid-20s, like just over $20,000 for this whole house. So once we get all of that together, we're in this house for the mid-20s, about 3 weeks worth of work, 4 weeks worth of work. And then we put it up for lease to own. So we offered a couple different lease to own options. We offered one with a larger down payment, then with a smaller monthly payment, and we offered one with a with a larger monthly payment but a smaller down payment. The tenants that we actually ended up getting opted for the smaller down payment with the larger monthly payment. With the lease option to purchase, we'll probably do a whole separate video on this. Bottom line, we now have a lease for $625 a month, and we have an option to purchase at $72,000. So these people are leasing the house, they're getting credits toward their purchase price with the intent of purchasing it for $72,000 ultimately. So when you're talking about a house in the mid-20s with an option to purchase in the mid-70s, talking about total gain of $55,000 with all the work and leasing that we put in, 5 weeks worth of effort, mid-50s on the house. So there's a couple different ways that we can collect that money. One with the rent, we could just have it paid off house where I'm getting the rent every month. If you had to finance a lot of that work and so you're not able to just collect your rent, you could then refinance that house. So if I refied it, I could refi it for anywhere up to about $60,000. So then you would pay off those credit cards and collect the difference of what you made. Or you could, and then you would have a payment so if you refinance for the mid-50s, you probably have a payment in the $400 a month range, then you'd be getting $200 a month cash flow, but you would have also put around $30,000 in your pocket as well. So these are all options to explore on how you make that money. As of right now, just collecting the rent on the house and enjoying having an unlevered asset in my property portfolio that's just creating cash flow. So that is the deal breakdown on a BRR. Brr. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment or a like or subscribe, any of that stuff. Please like, subscribe down below. Also, if you are interested in managing your properties remotely while you're working a full-time job, please see my course in Teachable down below. If you're interested, you want to take it, but you don't necessarily want to spend that money, please message me through any of the social medias and I'll give you a discount code so that you can take my course on how I manage my properties remotely so you can do the same while working your full-time job, or even if you are doing real estate full-time, being able to buy and invest in markets other than where you live. Click that link